Today, we're going to dig into a really subtle but powerful idea from Friedrich Nietzsche. It's about this hidden kind of lie that so many of us tell, not because we're malicious, but because we're under this intense social pressure to just be consistent. I mean, have you ever been in that spot? You say something really insightful or noble, maybe just in the heat of the moment. And then suddenly you feel this weight, like you have to live up to that one statement forever. That exact feeling, that sensation of being trapped by a past version of yourself, is what Nietzsche is zeroing in on here.
And he actually breaks down how this happens. It's like a three-step process. First, you have what he calls a moment of eruption. You just spontaneously say something brilliant. Step 2, the group around you, the herd, as he puts it, grabs onto it. They create this expectation. And then step 3, well, the performance begins. You start to act the part because you're terrified of looking inconsistent.
So, let's really dive into this first part of the trap. How a single accidental moment of inspiration can suddenly become a cage. This is where we get Nietzsche's central idea, the adventitious liar. Now, that word adventitious is key. It basically means accidental, something that happens by chance. This isn't some mastermind plotting to deceive people. No, this is about stumbling into a performance, all because you're trying to save face. And this quote just nails the consequence, doesn't it? That accidental comment hardens into what Nietzsche calls a theatrical mask. You literally become a servant working non-stop to prop up an image that was never really you in the first place. And what's really important to get is that the motivation here isn't evil, it's not malice, it's vanity. It's that very human, very real fear of losing our dignity if people see us as flaky or inconsistent. All right, let's keep going and see how this initial misstep builds into Nietzsche's full-blown diagnosis of this, well, incredibly common psychological trap. So why does this even happen? Nietzsche says it's not just some personal failing. Society, the herd, actually demands consistency. Why? Because it makes us predictable. It makes us useful. The group distrusts change. It sees it as corrupt because it values a stable, known quantity way more than the messy, unpredictable journey of authentic growth. So this pressure forces a choice, a fork in the road. You've got the noble spirit, Nietzsche's ideal of a strong, independent person. They choose their own integrity, even if it means being alone. But the adventitious liar? They make a different deal. They choose the social theater because it offers security. We've seen that internal choice, but let's go a little deeper into those external forces, the social pressures that actually reward this kind of fake performance. And Nietzsche is not subtle about the price of making that choice. He calls this constant performance a wicked form of self-betrayal. Think about that. It's a kind of violence you're committing against your own evolving self.
Oh, and I just love this metaphor. By clinging to that one fixed identity, we stop ourselves from shedding old skins. You know, like a snake that can't shed, we just can't grow. We get stuck, trapped in an old, outdated version of who we are. Ultimately, this leads to what Nietzsche calls intellectual poverty. And that is the real price you pay. It's when you choose the safety of a stable public identity over the difficult, messy, even dangerous reality of your own authentic, shifting instincts.
So what's the full psychological damage here? Let's take a look at the seriously high cost of faking it. Now, Nietzsche ties this all into one of his most famous ideas. He talked about the death of God, right? But he argued we didn't replace that divine, all-seeing judge with freedom. Nope. We just swapped God for a new judge, the relentless, all-seeing eye of public opinion. And this gives us the modern choice. On one side, you have the adventitious liar, who's basically a slave to their carefully managed personal brand. But on the other side, you have Nietzsche's hero, the free spirit. This is the person who embraces their own contradictions, who finds this ancient pride in what other people might just call their folly. So what does this free spirit actually look like? Well, they dare to be inconsistent. They welcome those spontaneous eruptions of who they are without feeling like they need to put on a show to justify it. And here's the kicker. They find strength in being able to withstand the social disgust that comes with being unpredictable. And this all leads to Nietzsche's real point. The goal of life isn't to be some consistent, stable object for other people to label. It's to be a dynamic creator, someone who isn't afraid to disappoint or confuse or even injure the expectations of the herd, all in the name of authentic self-creation. And that right there brings us to the final, really liberating idea in all of this, the freedom to be inconsistent and what it actually means to live an authentic life.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about for yourself. That consistent image you project to the world, is that really, truly honesty? Or is it just a very, very good performance?